What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch, making some money investing in fractional real estate online. As usual, today I actually have all the Mogul merch on. Was not intentional with the shirt, it just happened to be the top of the laundry pile, but the hat always comes on when we're doing the Mogul videos, right? New launch today, this came through the VIP launch, the Malone in Petersburg, Virginia. This is a pad split, 8 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2,832 square feet. A lot to like about it. I'm going to try to go through this one relatively quickly. I know my due diligence videos are never quick, but it is super late, and I'm really at the end of the energy level for today too. So hopefully I don't get too rambly. But if you've watched many of my videos, you know that's where it gets. I just want to get this out quickly because a lot of the Mogul pad splits have been selling out very quickly. So far, only 24,550 raised. So this one hasn't, it's not too much, but it's not live on the site yet. It's still just in VIP launch. If you look at the property, you can tell it was originally built, or it looks like it was originally built as a duplex. I am going to go into the public records, check the zoning. One of the things, I've been nervous about, okay, when we have a ton of bedrooms and bathrooms, are we going to have problems with zoning saying this isn't a single family home? Having a multifamily zone makes me feel a lot better about that. We've got good numbers from them. This is right in line with what I've really come to expect from Mogul. They mentioned that let's see where it is. The Malone is stabilized with actuals at the year one underwriting. So they're not really sandbagging the in-place revenue like they do sometimes. They're not coming in lower than the in-place, but then they mentioned that the current rents, they believe, are 14% below the average for the zip code. So they're thinking there's some upside there, right? So I think they are still trying to be conservative. This just happens to be one where they think it's underperforming currently. This is kind of interesting that they're saying, okay, they got a 10,000 credit. What was the other thing? I thought they said it was offered off market and they got a $10,000 credit. I don't think this is updated for the contract. So if you look at the contract, they originally had it under contract for $340,000. So my guess is the seller was asking $350,000, but then there's an addendum for $315,000, and so the original one did have $10,000 off and a $10,000 closing cost credit. One thing that's not really clear to me is this addendum says, okay, it's $315,000, and the seller agrees to $9,450 in seller concessions. I don't know if they've reduced the $10,000 closing cost amount or if this is supposed to be additional concessions. This is why whenever you have addendums, this is why I really like the Texas forms, because everything's a checkbox. It's very rare that you ever have to write anything, and so you don't have any of the ambiguity. But this to me looks like maybe they reduced it to $9,450, not that it's an additional concession. I'm really not sure though. And then they want someone to get out of one of the rooms prior to closing. Maybe that's someone who's behind on the rent. I don't know. But so I thought that was kind of interesting. A couple of things. So Petersburg, Virginia. This is in the Richmond, Virginia market. I did one other video about that market. But I did still, I don't believe it was in Petersburg City. I could be wrong about it though. I didn't go back and look. So I looked up the demographics there, the population changes. And it looks like it had been shrinking, but in the last, over the last decade, it grew 3.2%. Not the best numbers, but it's a very small town, right? It's 33,000. I mean, it's not a very small town, but it's a small market. I like to look at 100,000 people or more markets, but it's part of the greater Richmond metropolitan statistical area. I looked up those numbers, and we're doing great here, right? We've had really strong growth in the MSA. Which I think, I'm actually not sure exactly where we sit here. City of Richmond, I think it might be down here in this Tri-Cities area. I'm actually not sure. I looked it up earlier and I completely am blanking on where exactly it is. Does it say? Anyway, if that's something that you're relatively concerned about, yeah, here's the map here. We can look there and just see where it stands relative to. Yeah, it's in that. That's where I think. Right, that looks like that area. I'm going to close some of these as we go because, oh, you know what? Oh well, I think that's going to be fine. Let me pause this. I just had to shut off my OneDrive because it always causes a problem. Okay. Going to close those out. Let's see. Going into the FEMA flood map. Oh, is this not loading again? Oh, there we go. All right. You can see outside of any of the shaded areas, this is what I'm always looking for, right? I want to be in the X flood zone. It appears to me that we are, so I was excited about that. Spot crime map does not look great, right? I mean, you've got some gunshots. You've got gunshots over here. This is one, so, in the Discord, before I forget, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have a link to the Discord that I have set up so that we can talk about fractional real estate investing on any platform. Feel free to join that link. There's a lot of discussion about these properties and different markets and all that sort of thing. Usually, Ike and a couple other people will jump in here, share some links and different info. Today, Brad did. He jumped in and shared some additional crime information about this area, so you can jump in there and take a look at that. I also, in the description to this video, have links to all the places where I'm currently invested in fractional real estate online. Please do your own due diligence on any of those platforms and on any properties you see me talk about. Just because I'm investing in some of these doesn't mean that you should, and vice versa, right? Just because I pass on something doesn't mean necessarily that it's not something for you. I'm just trying to share the way I'm looking at these deals, what I'm buying, what my returns end up looking like, all that stuff. Speaking of returns, later today, we should get our dividends from Mogul, so that's exciting. I think it's today. Anyway, I also have links to the Mogul.Club that I'm a member of. So if you use I think a lot of people are using that link first, and then I don't know if you get actually the sign up. So use the first Mogul link if you're going to sign up on there, and then you get I think $50 on your first $250 investment if that's still working. And then if you join the club, after you use the first link, then immediately join a club before making your first investment, and then you can get some club rewards as part of that first one. Anyway, it shouldn't cost you anything other than the investment if you're already going to make it. But don't just do it because I said so, right? You want to actually do your due diligence on those and make sure that's what you want to do, right? This was about a month of crime, I think. Went back to 9/18. I don't like how many shootings there were, but if you look at it, it's actually if you zoom into our area, there wasn't really a whole lot in our neighborhood. So I didn't love it. I know that this market as a whole has a little bit more of a crime issue. But again, I mean, I think you can dig into that more if it's something that's of a concern to you. I'm going to close that. I also looked at the neighborhood scout. Oh man, and this backed out too. You can see I had a little crash right before I started this, and I thought I got all my tabs going again. But I believe we're in this Kenilworth zone. I think, I'm not positive, it looks like it's the third most dangerous zone, this dark blue. But it's not the absolute worst, so that's nice. And we've talked about this quite a bit before. I think for pad splits, you're often going to be in not the most desirable neighborhoods because you are providing the absolute cheapest housing in an area, right? You're renting a bedroom. It's an all-inclusive stay. You can pay by the week. And so often, you're going to see those in areas that maybe wouldn't make, certainly like an area you might not want to use for a short-term rental or for a luxury apartment or something. But I think I'm okay with this. I think that it's something that you want to think about though and decide is that level too much. There's a whole bunch of other stats out there that you can look at. These are just two spots that I've been looking. And like I said, Brad posted a few things in the Discord as well about it. Some stuff that I thought was pretty interesting. Okay, I did look up the. I don't know why I have this page up still, but so looked up the Petersburg, Virginia, city assessor. So this is kind of interesting. It's not in a county. The city itself. There is a county that, like, if you Google it, it says it's in that county. But then when I try to look this property up, it doesn't show up in that county. And it turns out that the city is like on its own outside of the county. It seemed like a weird setup. But so that's why I went here to get their info. They actually shared some of this market info from Long and Foster. about median sales price, days on market. This was just a link from the city website, which I thought was, this was this real estate market reports. So they have a whole bunch there. The GIS map that they have was pretty interesting too. You might want to spend some time looking at that. But overall, you can see days on market are up quite a bit. Median sales price is down. Active inventory is up. Units sold is down. Like it's not painting a great picture for sales in this market. Kind of expecting that in most markets, these days. So it's not a big surprise. But I just figured I'd share that. This is so I printed this out. This is like the printable view because it's the easiest way to look at the city info. Like if you just actually like go to the property, open it up and whatever. I found that this was, you could have everything in one place. So zoning, R3. This is one thing that you have to realize if you are looking at zoning. This doesn't mean the same thing that it means where you live. Or maybe it does, right? But it doesn't mean the same thing it means in my market in San Antonio. An R3 zone is a single family zone that has to have a minimum lot size of 3,000 square feet. That's not what it means here. I actually looked it up in Muni Code because I was wondering. I was like, oh, and this says state class 1 single family urban. I'm not even sure what they mean by state class, but I looked up the zoning and let's see. Oh, did this? Yeah, R3, 2 family residence district, right? So you can actually have 2 family dwellings here, which, makes sense because it looks like it was built as a duplex. So like I was saying earlier, it makes me feel a lot better about having an 8-bathroom home if we can really say, well, this is 4 bathrooms per unit. That starts to make a lot more sense to me than saying that, if you ever in the future had the city try to crack down on this. So I really like the pad splits. If they're going to have a lot of bedrooms, I like the ones that they started with a duplex or triplex or something like that. So to me, I think that reduces the risk of future regulatory issues. It obviously doesn't eliminate them, but I think it's a good sign. So I like that a lot. What else? The finished square footage matches up with what we were told. So I always like when that happens. The beds and baths aren't exactly right. Like it looks like they had a half bath that was converted to a full bath because they're saying 4 bathrooms. And then, yes, obviously they created some extra bedrooms. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I've asked this question to Mogul before about what do you do as far as making sure that if if it doesn't match up with the public records, are you getting evidence that it was permitted and the work was done correctly? And they say that they do that on every one. It's part of their due diligence. So far, they have not given me any reason to question them. And so I don't try to go and dig that up and find it on my own. I've done that sometimes in some of the markets where I'm more used to it, but it's often difficult. And so until they give me a reason to not trust that they're actually doing it the way that they say they are, I'm perfectly fine with that. Trying to think if there was anything else in here. They just had that was everything that I wanted to do from that. Let's close that up. I am trying to just move this along tonight, not babble at you too much, give you all the info. So Ike was kind of slacking today. I'm used to him actually posting some links for me. I couldn't figure out how he actually gets the pad split listing for ones when they have no rooms available right now. This is the listing. I subscribed to it, but I couldn't actually get it to open up to the listing page that he usually gives me the link for. So I'm going to have to ask him next time he's around. I don't know. He just wasn't in the Discord today. And you can see, like, normally I'm really just slacking and other people are doing some of this work for me. But I thought it's a good sign. Okay, it does show they don't have any rooms available. We know they're going to try to move someone out, and then it will be. But if it's just 1 out of 8, that's pretty good right now. And it looks like we're one of the cheaper ones in the area, right? I mean, at least the immediate area. And then when you move out, okay, now you've got a couple of cheaper ones over here too. But so that was good to see. Let's close that up. Oh yeah. So one of the things that I've often had problems with, if I'm not going to buy something from Mogul, it comes down to their purchase price, right? They're purchasing this for $315. One thing I wanted to look at is 81,000 Yeah, see, that's a lot in reserves, right? 81,000 for reserves and closing costs. Um, but I believe because we got the price reduction, that they're saying, okay, we're going to need more cash to fix some things up, right? Because we also know part of their process is doing an inspection and planning to fix any of the things that, like in the inspections that have the red, yellow, green, planning to fix all the red ones at least, and then addressing the yellow ones that they think that they need to. I know sometimes some inspection reports do it a different way, but I think you understand what I'm saying, right? Like inspectors are usually telling you, putting repairs in different categories. And so this looks to me like they're setting aside a decent amount of money to fix something. So I'm pretty happy with that, right? But so let's see, 315. These are the comps that they used. When I looked at Zillow thinks it's 224. No. Zillow thinks it's 261.5. This is actually the last sale. This is when it sold before. Zillow doesn't know that this, what this property is being used as, right? And that it was they're saying it's a single family residence. I mean, it kind of is being used as one residence now, but it was a duplex. All of these third-party sites don't do a great job for pricing them when that's the case. And you can see, when this was bought in the past, this was not, at the time, it doesn't look like it was set up as a pad split, right? So somebody bought this and did some work getting it up and running, maybe reconfiguring it some. I don't really know exactly. Nope, now I close that. So, okay, that price makes it look like, though, we're paying like 50,000 too much. Oh, what is happening here? Oh, there we go. 290 estimate on Realtor. Again, makes it look like we're paying a little too much. But again, I think that it also, it thinks this is a single family home. And, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. And then Redfin, at least we're in the Redfin range, right? They say 293. We're still, over $20,000 over this. So that's not great. But they did, they provided all of these comps. I did go back, let's see. Where did I put those tabs? So these are the comps that they picked out. I had to just open those tabs back up. This one, again, it's a duplex. I think this is more in line with, the real substance of what we're buying here. 315, this looked fine to me. It seemed like a reasonable comp is what I mean. This was a single family residence that they had here, but same size, same beds and baths. And then was this actually being used? Maybe, I'm not sure if this had been being used as a pad split or not. I told you this wasn't going to be my best work today. I know that's been I've been telling you that a lot lately. I'm going to get back on track eventually. We'll get there. And then this one on Lamar, again, single family residence. I'm actually not really sure. This one's smaller too. I don't know how this one worked its way in. But I mean, price-wise, it makes a lot of sense, right, for what they paid. Where's my map with all? But like, if you look, okay, this is our subject property. This is the first comp, and it's also the comp that I think makes the most sense, right? Because it's clearly a duplex. And so that's 315. That's exactly what we're paying, right? Let's see, what's the next one? The other one's kind of over here. The other two are a little bit further away. But when we're trying to use multifamily for comps, a lot of times we're going to do that. So I'm not excited about the valuation, but I'm not too worried about it either. I think that we're probably in the ballpark. If everything else is fine with it, I think I'm going to be okay paying that price because, it seems, especially this Hinton one to me, just really seems like, okay, that's the type of comp. Maybe this is only 6 bedrooms, 6 baths. It's smaller. It's the closest one. I don't see why we wouldn't just be like, yeah, that's a great comp for us. So let's close all those. Close that map. Close the Redfin. I think we're going to get through this one pretty quick. I did want to point out, so, I use this street view quite a bit. This looks like a really, a relatively recent renovation. Looks really nice, and actually, when you go further down the street, we'll go back in time, but we went way back in time with this, all the way, this is 2008 image capture. But you can see a lot of these properties look different, which they should. But yeah, this one is, it looks like it's still being worked on, right? And this is the one, this is our subject property here. So it's nice that the home right across the street from us is getting a little facelift. Don't know what this little sign is. That's interesting. I wonder, or is that just a piece of a bed laid out there? That does just look like a headboard almost, leaned against there. So maybe that's just trash. But yeah, it's a good sign when there's work being done in the neighborhood. So I like that. For me, this one, the biggest issue that I could find was that there is a lot of crime in the greater marketplace. And yeah, this is a dilapidated home. This is not too far back in time. And this is probably part of the reason why some of the third-party sites are having a hard time valuing sales. If there's a lot of dilapidated homes selling, a lot of times, like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor, don't do a good job of figuring out if that's really a comp or not, right? And so, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the value on this one. I don't love it. I'd love it. I always like it when the third parties also match up. I did want to point that out. They do have an appraisal contingency, as they usually do. And I didn't see anything that was limiting it. Like in some of them, they say, well, if it's within 50,000 or 10,000 or whatever it is, we're still going to buy it. I didn't see anything like that. Obviously, if you're concerned about it, you should dig into that yourself, right? And you should never just watch my video and use it to make your decision. You always want to do some of your own due diligence as well. Let's see. So there's that. Yeah, is this box is applicable if they're not happy with the inspection results? Yeah, you can read this. I'm not going to read this to you. And that we already went over that. This is really it, right? This is one. Maybe I didn't spend enough time on it. It always worries me when I don't have something that I really dislike about the property. Obviously, I'd like to know why we got the additional $15,000 discount. But at this point in time, I really have come to trust that the Mogul team knows what they're doing, and that they're negotiating. They're doing a good job negotiating on our behalf. So far, most of my returns have been in line with what I've expected. There's been a couple that haven't been exactly there. It'll be interesting later today to see my, what my dividends look like. I think that it is. Let's look if it's the third Thursday. It is, right? Yeah, so they should be today. Provided that's the case, I am planning on investing in this one. That just because I do doesn't mean that you should, though, right? You want to do your own due diligence. But I am hoping to wait till my dividends hit so that I can reinvest those. I also have a bunch of club rewards that I'll stick in there too. But yeah, it's a new market for me. I didn't get any of the Drebin, I think it was. It sold out really quickly. I like that it's multifamily in the multifamily zone. I think that gives us some protection for being one of the larger bedroom pad splits. The 8 bedrooms to 4 bathrooms. I like that ratio. It's a good size for 8 bedrooms too. 2,800 square feet is a good size for that many rooms. It's really more than I think you need. I kind of wonder if there is some wasted space because of how it had been configured in the past, but I'm not too worried about that. Crime was the biggest issue, but it is something, when we looked at that crime map, it really wasn't right in our neighborhood. That's the thing I always look at, and I didn't mention today, is where our bus lines run, right? Because we're always, and parking and bus lines are both things that I always think about with pad splits. When you have a corner lot like this, and there's plenty of street parking, right? We can park all the way around this corner. And let's just double check that. I believe that's accurate, but I want to double check that we do see We don't actually see anybody parked on that street. Oh, we do on this way. Okay, there was over there. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, what's really strange is, but you can see a car parked there, and then there's definitely street parking here. So there's a whole bunch of street parking. There's actually, do we even have a driveway? Do we have a, I mean, there's a curb cut and no real driveway. So that's super interesting, right? But I mean, you can just look in this neighborhood and you don't even see like tons of cars parked anywhere. So that's really interesting. But you know, the corner lot is for me the biggest thing. It creates a lot of street parking, and so if you when you're going up and down the street, it doesn't look like there's any problem at all. So I don't worry about that. I also do want to look at though. If we see where there's a bus stop, let me switch it to this view because it's usually just easier to see this way. I thought I had found it. I could be wrong. No, that's business 460. Well, if you know where the closest bus stop is to this property, let me know in the comments because I thought I had looked at this, but now that I'm looking at it, it's not ringing any bells. So this is a train. Yeah, that's rail. Am I just not the appropriate amount zoomed in? Sometimes it's like that. Okay. Oh, yep. Now we're starting to see the little bus guys. Here. I think this is our closest bus stop right here. It's not super close. Oh, let's go back to, that's directions. And go to this guy. Yeah, but it's not. It's an 8-minute walk, right? So if that is in fact the closest bus stop, which I think it is the one that I found, that's not bad at all, right? I think within 15, and I'm pretty happy. Obviously I love it when it's really close, but 8 minutes is not a big deal. I think that is the closest one though. Yeah, I just didn't have it the appropriate amount zoomed in to see it at first. Sorry about that. But that's it. So I think decent access to a bus. Corner lot, so plenty of places to street park. Yeah, I mean the biggest complaint that I could come up with was, okay, I don't love the crime in the area, but if you're going to invest in that market as a whole, you're just kind of going to have to live with that. Oh, I always like to shut off the refinance and see how much that hurts us, right? 14.2. Oh, IRR has actually hurt a little more. 14.2, because I think that was 15, wasn't it? Why is that having a bigger impact than usual? 1.3%, but the average yield only changed 0.5%. Did we do anything different here with our assumptions? 5%. It looks like what we've been doing. 75% LTV. That's different from some of the early ones, but a lot of the recent ones, that's what we've been seeing. So yeah, and I always think it's funny because I'm perfectly happy with the 14% IRR, especially because I know they do seem to be pretty conservative with their income projections. I've had several of my properties already that are overperforming, have had some underperform so far, but it is, it's not necessarily going to be the case over the course of the full 12 months. It's just they've had a bad month and maybe I'm only 3 months in. So we'll have to see, right? But overall, 9.64% levered cash on cash is is year one. Overall, I like this one. There's not a whole lot. I really want to give you more things that I think you should look out for. It always worries me when I don't have those. Maybe I just didn't spend enough time on it and there's some red flags. If you saw some, please put those in the comments to this video or jump in the Discord and share them there. And if not, and you're interested in this one, yeah, don't forget, I've got the links in the description to go to the site, right? I don't know. I feel like lots of people do that though, so I always appreciate it when you do. Especially our club, the 400 Club, has been really popping, right? There's been a whole bunch of people just buying stuff over the last couple of days, so that's nice to see those. And as far as I can tell, there's really no downside to being a member of the clubs, right? I mean, you just get the extra club rewards that you wouldn't get otherwise. Yeah, so I am planning to buy some of this. I do hope to just wait until the morning or afternoon or whenever my dividends come in, but I'm going to keep an eye on this and see, are these how fast is this selling out? Because I don't have anything in there in Virginia that's with them yet, so I would like to get this. But just remember, don't let the FOMO get you. If you miss this deal, I'm sure they're going to find another one. One thing that I've really come to like about Mogul, they just are putting out very consistent deals. I've happily passed on the last several because I know that they're just going to keep putting them out, and I'm just looking for ones that I think are going to be a real good fit for my portfolio. The last one they put out, I didn't have any real issues with it. It just wasn't, I have several similar ones, and I wasn't that excited about it. This one I like that I can get a little bit more geographic diversification. I really like, if we're going to do pad splits with a lot of bedrooms, I really like that it was set up as multifamily originally. Just I want to have more things to tell you negative about it. So, let me look back at here. Do we have, I don't really think we're too close to the train tracks, because that's something that you can, sometimes we have some noise to worry about that, right? Like what else could we have? I don't know. Hopefully you guys can share some stuff in the comments. I mean, maybe the crime's enough to make you not want to be in it. Maybe the fact that it's an older property you don't love. I'm sure you can come up with something, but I think also too, not just there's not just a bus stop nearby, but there's also like several, several different places that could be some a potential, employment spot for someone who lives there that is walkable, right? So that's always interesting when you have things like that as well. I think that's really it for me for today. Like I said, I'm going to try to not go into the rambliness that I always do. Oh, I was trying to finish up without that. But anyway, until next time, I'm going to just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.